and advertisers.
Liberalism is back in style. Welcome to the evolution.
What if you knew Fox News was just lying to you? How could you watch when you know?
He was voted Variety Entertainer of the Year at the Excellence in the Arts Award. And is one of the highest Arbitron, now Nielsen-rated talk radio hosts in Las Vegas. He is also a refreshing voice of logic and reason. Live from the entertainment capital of the world, Doug Basham.
And good morning, my fellow wokes and Republican jokes. Thanks for joining me today. My name is Doug Basham, and welcome to the Doug Basham Show right here on KSHP in Las Vegas and on social media, and to a genuine demonstration of excellence in broadcasting. Hey everybody, great to see you all again. I am Doug Basham, card-carrying member in good standing, I might add, of the Enemy Within Brigade, also known as one sick, radical leftist lunatic who needs to be handled by the American military. My website is DougBasham.com, last name spelled B as in Bob, A-S-H-A-M as in Mary, DougBasham.com, my email, Doug@DougBasham.com. That said, I extend a warm welcome to those of you listening on KSHP, AM 1400 and 107.1 FM on your radio dial here in Las Vegas. We are also broadcasting on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, TikTok, and of course, Twitter/X, now owned and operated by the biggest and most childish troll in Twitter/X's history. Now, if you go to my website, again, that's DougBasham.com, you will discover it's all of one page. At the top, you'll see the show's logo. Underneath, 10 links, most to my social media sites, also one to contact me via email. Now, the two links I would like to call your attention to the most are, 1, my YouTube page, and 2, my TikTok page. On my YouTube page, I would respectfully ask you hit the subscribe button. On TikTok, please hit the red follow button. Now, if you would like to watch the show live and not just listen to it, reason being when I play clips, I don't play audio clips, I play video clips. From my website, you can go to either my YouTube, Facebook, or Twitter/X pages, whereupon you can indeed watch the show live. And if you're on YouTube and I violate YouTube policies, which has become an all too common thing of late, and they put up this black soundless screen that says the stream has been suspended for policy violations, no worries. Just go back to my website, DougBasham.com, then go to my Facebook or Twitter/X page. And by the way, another reason to watch this show live, it will remove any doubt in your mind why so many people, including big brawny men who have never cried a day in their lives, have come up to me over the years with tears in their eyes and said that this is a face for television. 221-7283 is our call-in number here at the station, folks. If you would like to talk on the radio somewhere in our second half hour together, that's 702-221-SAVE, as in save our democracy, which is our ultimate and only goal in each and every show we do. And as the Venerable Joy Behar said recently on The View,
I mean, he's cost a lot. I think we should lock him up now.
Well,
Now, I'm going to forego my closing argument for this election today. We'll get back to it tomorrow when I'll only have 3 more times to deliver it before Election Day. Today, however, I got something I got to clear up from yesterday. First, because of the ongoing treatment I'm undergoing for my incredibly messed up back and the medications I've been prescribed, I've been advised to only drive when I absolutely need to. You know, like if film star and legend Jenna Jameson was appearing at the Spearmint Rhino. Something like that. As a result, I have started doing this show from my home, and I do that using a website called StreamYard. I'm on my StreamYard page here at home. Justin is on my StreamYard page down at the station. Justin then sends whatever we're playing on my StreamYard page over the radio. And you know how he just added himself to the stream? A hot dog through and through. We have that in common. Justin plays the disclaimer and the show's open from the station. I play the rest of the video clips from here at home. Now, StreamYard also allows you to broadcast live to social media sites. It is a great site that offers a great service. However, it is only as good as the user's internet connection, in this case, my internet connection. And unfortunately, I get my internet service from Cox Communications, whose grossly overpriced internet service is not always reliable, at least in my area. I've had both the internet and cable TV go down in the past, called friends in other parts of the city, and their internet and cable is just fine. Cox has explained it to me that it's because I'm in a high usage area, which was more than unsatisfactory. I mean, given the number of people who are online today and who isn't, I would assume that every area is a high usage area. Am I wrong? But that's what happened yesterday. With about 10 minutes left in the show, my Cox Communications internet connection went down. It stopped working, it crashed, and everything just disappeared. And get this, Justin was still online with my StreamYard page. The internet at the station and probably everywhere else in the city was just fine. But what I say into the microphone and the video clips I play have to come from here. Well, actually, Justin could play the clips from the station just like he does the open, but without my commentary before and after, they wouldn't make a whole lot of sense. So if I don't have internet, the show isn't broadcast either on the radio or on social media. So I apologize for that, although I had no control over it. But I had one caller on hold for us that I really wanted to talk to after my commentary on what I thought Biden should do if Trump were to win. And I never got to speak with him. I hope we'll have that opportunity today. And again, my sincerest apologies. And in case you missed yesterday's show, and shame on you if you did, what I said Biden should do if Trump were to win is invoke his presidential immunity, refuse to turn our constitutional republic over to a convicted felon who has said our Constitution should be terminated, revoke Trump's bails, and call for the military police to take Trump into custody, wherein he would finally be held accountable for the myriad treasonous crimes he has committed against this country, for which he has already been charged. That's the short version. But the kick-ass blockbuster 15-minute version I delivered yesterday was the result of just an inordinate amount of time spent pondering, considering, deliberating, deleting, correcting, adding, and finally creating. If you missed it, you can go to my website, again, DougBasham.com, then go to my YouTube page and click on the link that says videos. It's the first one. And again, apologies for the internet outage yesterday and yesterday's truncated show. That said, just 6 days to go, folks, less than a week. 4 business days, and a weekend. But who's counting? I'll ask you again, how are you doing? How are you feeling? And I'll share where I'm at. I am somewhat confident Kamala Harris will win, and I would like to think easily, as that will reflect much better on this country than a close result, which would be both an embarrassment and a travesty. But here's what's sticking in my craw. I'm on record on the air back in 2016 expressing just supreme confidence Hillary was going to win. During the Republican primary, I even said I hoped Donald Trump would be the GOP's nominee for president. As we all know, that came back to bite me in my shank as hard as I've ever been bitten by or over anything else. The only other times anything even close to that has happened to me, I had to pay $500 an hour for those bites, and I didn't even enjoy them that much. But that said, let's get to our breaking news for the day, all of which will only further demonstrate why this is the most unique and compelling talk radio show in the entire universe. First, a bit of news I find absolutely awesome. With Election Day rapidly approaching, the exterior of our world-famous Sphere right here in Las Vegas will feature a campaign ad for Kamala Harris. According to a news release, this will mark the first time that the exosphere will display a political message. The Harris Walls team said in an announcement, quote, "In the campaign's final days, this sphere activation will help the Harris campaign turn out critical Nevadans and help deliver the state for Vice President Harris on November 5th. End quote. And let us indeed hope that that is the case. For those of you watching on social media, this is what the ad looks like. And apologies to radio listeners, this is a visual, but it really is remarkable. Oh, and I had to change the music. The original featured Beyonce's song Freedom, which I could see being a violation of YouTube's policies. So I replaced it with my own opening music, which I own and should not under any circumstances constitute a violation. Whew. That was a remarkable display, as only our Las Vegas Sphere can do. And just to veer off politics for a moment, for those who don't know, the exterior of our Sphere is the world's largest LED screen. There are 1.2 million lights on the outside of the Sphere, the size of a hockey puck. In fact, that's what they're called, LED pucks. Each one of those 1.2 million pucks contains 48 individual programmable LEDs. That is a boatload of lights. And when they were building the Sphere, they promised that the sound experience inside would be unlike anything anyone has ever heard before. And that's exactly what people have told me. Do you know how many speakers they have inside the Sphere? 167,000. It averages 9 speakers per person in attendance. Our Sphere is worth the price of a trip to Las Vegas all by itself. And we have a few other things for you to do while you're here, and that's aside from our great nightclubs, great restaurants, great food, and of course, gambling. If you're a sports fan and hockey is your jam, we have the Vegas Golden Knights. If football is your thing, we have the Raiders. Not having a particularly good season, but you do get to see some good football teams when they visit. If baseball is your fancy, we have perhaps the most beautiful minor league ballpark in the entire league. That's where our Aviators play. And if you're a basketball fan, we have the 2-time world champion Las Vegas Aces. But our Sphere is truly one of a kind. And speaking of our spherical next president of the United States, Kamala Harris delivered her campaign's closing argument last night at the very place where the orange trader tried to steal an election he lost spectacularly, at least in the popular vote, and all to keep his criminal ass out of prison. And I got to tell you, my attention was divided. A third of my mind was listening to what she said. Another third kept wondering how they keep telling us this election is close when she is objectively just a superior candidate. And the final third I just spent falling more in love with her. What can I say? Guilty as charged. She is just so ready for this challenge. And make no mistake, the presidency of the United States is the most challenging job in the world. That is, if you actually care about the enormous responsibility it carries, which she obviously does. But getting to Harris's actually ellipse speech, the location of which again I thought was just a brilliant decision, Harris took full advantage of that location to rightfully tie it to Donald Trump, and she lunged right at him for his most treasonous crime right from the get-go.
Look, we know who Donald Trump is. He is the person who stood at this very spot nearly 4 years ago and sent an armed mob to the United States Capitol to overturn the will of the people in a free and fair election. An election that he knew he lost. Americans died as a result of that attack. 140 law enforcement officers were injured because of that attack. And while Donald Trump sat in the White House watching as the violence unfolded on television, he was told by his staff that the mob wanted to kill his own vice president. And Donald Trump responded with 2 words: so what? America, that's who Donald Trump is. And that's who is asking you to give him another 4 years in the Oval Office. Not to focus on your problems, but to focus on his.
Beautiful, just beautiful. And you know what's going to drive everybody in Trump's brain-dead MAGA cult base nuts? Because she said he sent his armed goons to the Capitol. See, they've been brainwashed into believing nobody was armed. How can you attempt an insurrection when nobody was armed? They were heavily armed. A couple weeks ago, I played you the tape from that day of officers pointing out people that were armed with AKs and pistols and whatnot. I don't even know all the different guns. They weren't an AR-15, not an AK-47, although there isn't that much difference. The bottom line is Trump was told that not only they were armed, but that they were being caught by the magnetometers. He said, turn the effing mags off. They're not here to hurt me. And that's a quote. But again, they've been told nobody was armed. And you know the main difference between Harris's ellipse speech last night and Trump's ellipse screed back on January the 6th, 2021? Harris's message and the people to whom she delivered it was all about saving our democracy. Trump's dictate and those to whom he delivered his insurrection-inspiring edict was all about destroying our democracy. And this race is close? If indeed it is because of today's right-wing propaganda hate media industrial complex who has brainwashed their audience into believing the crime they saw with their own eyes on January 6th and on countless other occasions either wasn't what they saw or that the crimes they did see weren't crimes. They were acts of patriotism, don't you know? Fealty to their most deserving orange god. And what I found ironic was, it's not unusual for a criminal to return to the scene of his crime, but when a sitting vice president and a candidate for president returns to the scene of a crime, and that crime was committed by the person who's running against her to be president, that is as foobarred as anything can be, effed up beyond all recognition. And it is a shameful stain and putrid stench on this country's legacy, and one that could take decades and countless cans of Feebreeze to eliminate. And here's something else I thought of. We all know Trump's history with pro wrestling. I was thinking that is such an apt descriptor of his base. Wrestling fans know it's fake, but they go for the show. They go for the performers, to scream, hoot, and holler for something they know is fake. Hello? I'd be willing to bet, and I've said this in the past, the overwhelming majority of Trump's brain-dead MAGA cult base know Trump is as fake as wrestling. But just like wrestling fans, they're there for the show, the performance, and to scream, hoot, and holler for something they know is fake. Which, in most other circumstances, that wouldn't be a problem. I mean, if your jam is to get off on fake, have at it. The problem is, the American presidency is not a fake wrestling match. It is real-life drama with real-life challenges and real-life consequences, none of which the human diaper stain is qualified for or even interested in tackling. Like his base, like wrestling fans, he is only there for the show and the performance and to scream, hoot, and holler about his own fake self. Ms. Harris already went after Trump for his anti-American fascist to the core enemy within rubbish. A bit later on in her speech, she went after him again for it, as she should have, and in the process reminded everyone of her stellar performance in her debate with the orange skid mark.
And Donald Trump, our democracy doesn't require us to agree on everything. In fact, we like good arguments from time to time. Just think of your own family, right? It's not the American way to not have disagreements. We don't shy away from robust debate. In fact, we like a good debate, don't we? We like a good debate. And the fact that someone disagrees with us does not make them the enemy within. That's right. They are family, neighbors, classmates, co-workers. They are fellow Americans. And as Americans, we rise and fall together. America, for too long, we have been consumed with too much division, chaos, and mutual distrust. And it can be easy then to forget a simple truth. It doesn't have to be this way. It doesn't have to be this way. It is time to stop pointing fingers. We have to stop pointing fingers and start locking arms. It is time to turn the page on the drama and the conflict, the fear and division. It is time for a new generation of leadership in America. And I am ready to offer that leadership as the next President of the United States of America.
Well said, Madam President. I mean, that woman, like I said a couple weeks ago, she's getting good at this rally stuff. She's great, she's qualified, and hot damn, she's drop-dead gorgeous. And something she said about a new generation of leadership, that reminded me of all the recent talk regarding Team Trump claiming their wretched candidate was too exhausted to conduct a heavy campaign schedule, and that exhaustion was somehow, they didn't say this, our side said that exhaustion was indicative of his ability to be our next president and an effective one. Well, that would be true if Donald Trump was a normal candidate or had been a normal president. First, of course he's exhausted. He's nearly 80 years old. And contrary to online memes and Trump trading cards that depict him as Rocky and Hercules, he's an obese 78-year-old constant complainer and bellyacher with high blood pressure and a diet comprised mostly of cholesterol. Cholesterol, I might add, that sadly has been seriously falling down on its job and tarnishing its reputation. As far as the claim he's too exhausted to campaign and how he could handle the rigors of being president, easy. He would do exactly what he did the last time he debased the White House. He'll watch Fox News until noon. He'll spend some time in the early afternoon filibustering the mics and cameras on a daily basis, filling the American people's heads with abject lies about how wonderful he is, return to his private quarters by mid-afternoon, post on social media all night, and go golfing whenever he can at his properties so that he can grift from the Secret Service and the rest of government, just like the 4 years he was in office. Trump's presidency was not a hard gig for him. He is the only president likely in our history who didn't age during his presidency because he didn't do anything and he didn't care about anything except, of course, himself and himself alone. He spent more time in the morning on his hair and makeup than he did on any policy. Kind of like me, but I'm not the president. And when it came to policies, all he did was promise them. He promised policies that never came to fruition or materialized. So no, he wouldn't be too exhausted to fulfill the office of the presidency, at least the way Trump defines fulfilling that office. Hair, makeup, watching TV, lying, and golfing. Who among us, regardless of our age, couldn't handle a gig like that? But I can almost guarantee you one thing. When Kamala Harris is finished her first 4-year term, we will see signs of aging, primarily because she's not going to spend half her day on her hair and makeup, watching TV, bragging about her non-accomplishments, and golfing. Now, she'll still be drop-dead gorgeous, but I suspect the responsibility of that office, again, which she will take seriously, will still take a certain toll. Ms. Harris's speech then veered into familiar stump speech territory, which is fine because unlike her most unworthy opponent, she actually has policies about which she can speak. You know, other than tariffs, mass deportations, building a wall he told us he already built, and screwing people out of health care. And this race is close? Methinks not. And if it is, shame on us. Just shame on us. I did like it very much when she went after Trump for his utter disdain and contempt for our military.
As Commander-in-Chief, I will make sure America has the strongest, most lethal fighting force in the world. Donald Trump, on the other hand, has shown his contempt for our nation's heroes, calls them suckers and losers, called a 4-star Marine general a, quote, lowlife. I will always honor, never denigrate, the service and sacrifice of our troops and their families, and fulfill our sacred obligation to care for them. I will strengthen, not surrender, America's global leadership. And I will stand with our friends because I know that our alliances keep American people safe and make America stronger and more secure. Look, world leaders think that Donald Trump is an easy mark, easy to manipulate with flattery or favor. And you can believe that autocrats like Putin and Kim Jong-un are rooting for him in this election. I will always uphold our security, advance our national interest, and ensure that the United States of America remains, as we must forever be, a champion of liberty around the world. America, we know what Donald Trump has in mind. More chaos, more division, and policies that help those at the very top and hurt everyone else. I offer a different path, and I ask for your vote.
And you know what's amazing about this woman? She has subjected herself to as grueling a presidential campaign as I have ever seen. She had to. She only had 3 months. She has been out there every day campaigning, speaking. She has done more speaking than I would say any other surrogate she has in her campaign. If you look at a lot of these other surrogates, they're hoarse. Kamala Harris is still going strong and still looks great. That is a testament to both her drive and I guess her survivability, her endurance. And kudos to her. And you know, so many times during this campaign, I've told you who I think is the best choice. I've also said there's only one choice. The more I see and hear Kamala Harris, I feel like there's only one candidate. It's like Trump isn't even there. I mean, him holding a Nazi rally in a city and state he knows he has no chance of winning, that is not a winning strategy. Which takes us to something MSNBC's Jen Psaki said on Monday night, which, by the way, I completely disagree with.
And at the end of the day, this is all very revealing about what Trump and his team are thinking right now. It tells us that they think they can win like this. They think they can close out this campaign on racism and fear and hate. They think that will win. They think that will work.
Again, I disagree, and I've told you why. I firmly believe that the Fanta-fascist isn't running to win on November 5th. I believe he's running to win after November 5th. And yes, he doesn't have the power or leverage or resources he had at his disposal in 2020 when he was still president. However, he has spent the past 4 years installing loyalists in influential electoral administrative positions. He's even shouted some of them out at his rallies. And then there's the crap ton of lawsuits the GOP, both national and state, have filed months before the election is even held. And some of them Some of them are not even being filed with the intention of overturning the election, but just to gum up the works so that the election cannot be certified by its required date by law. Which is why we're going to be on the air at least until a month after the election to see exactly how Trump tries to steal this one. And then it was time for Ms. Harris to hit Trump once again for his despicable enemy within remarks.
And here is my pledge to you. I pledge to seek common ground and common sense solutions to make your life better. I am not looking to score political points. I am looking to make progress. I pledge to listen to experts, to those who will be impacted by the decisions I make, and to people who disagree with me. Unlike Donald Trump, I don't believe people who disagree with me are the enemy. He wants to put them in jail. I'll give them a seat at the table. I pledge to you to approach my work with the joy and optimism that comes from making a difference in people's lives. And I pledge to be a president for all Americans. And to always put country above party and self.
She's really good at this. She really is. And then it came time to wrap things up, and I thought Ms. Harris's close was simply spectacular.
Nearly 250 years ago, America was born when we wrested freedom from a petty tyrant. Across the generations, Americans have preserved that freedom, expanded it, and in so doing, proved to the world that a government of, by, and for the people is strong and can endure. And those who came before us, the patriots at Normandy and Selma, Seneca Falls and Stonewall, on farmlands and factory floors, they did not struggle, sacrifice, and lay down their lives only to see us cede our fundamental freedoms. They didn't do that only to see us submit to the will of another petty tyrant. These United States of America, we are not a vessel for the schemes of wannabe dictators. The United States of America is the greatest idea humanity ever devised. A nation big enough to encompass all our dreams, strong enough to withstand any fracture or fissure between us, and fearless enough to imagine a future of possibilities. So, America, let us reach for that future. Let us fight for this beautiful country we love. And in 7 days, we have the power, each of you has the power to turn the page and start writing the next chapter in the most extraordinary story ever told. I thank you all. God bless you, and may God bless the United States of America. Thank you.
I just love that woman. I just do. And I firmly believe you just heard from the next president of the United States. And yeah, any speech that refers to the orange trader as both a petty tyrant and a dictator wannabe is a winner in my book, but also in America's book as well. even if a sizable contingent of our population seems to have forgotten how to read. And I'll tell you, there is simply no question in my mind Kamala Harris has got this. The only question that remains is if we've got this. I believe we do, at least up until the election is held. After that, we'll cross that rickety orange bridge when we have to. 221-7283 is our call-in number here at the station, folks. If you would like to talk, that's 702-221-SAVE, as in Save Our Democracy. We got 6 days in which to do it. 6? Whatever. 221-7283 is the number. Let's head to the phones, and we'll start with Carl. You're first. Thanks for calling.
Hey, Doug. First off, I'm going to apologize for the other day. I couldn't answer a question of yours because I didn't tune in until after you had asked. We're talking about it, so I want to apologize for that. I didn't, come across correctly, I guess. Anyway.
As if you ever do.
Well, yeah, I apologize if I run over an old lady or something with my car. I apologize all the time.
Me too. Me too. We have that in common.
Yeah. Listen, what really gets me is the in front of the White House. It was estimated that was somewhere between 60 and 75,000 people, at least, in front of there listening to Harris. And that must really bug the hell out of Trump, because that's one thing he loves best is numbers. And if he feels somebody's got more numbers, he gets very anxious about that. So
and he'll go on social media and post that here's the thing about Trump. He will go on social media and post that he had bigger numbers on January 6, 2021, as if that's a testament to either him or this country. It isn't. It is a damning indictment of both. First, him for inciting the riot and inviting those goons there, and second, against them for showing up and carrying it out. It's not a testament. It's an indictment.
Yeah. I can say one thing, that he does one thing, he has bigger numbers than she does. It's his weight.
That's true.
That's
very true.
And the final thing I want to say is, I mentioned, I think before, that it's a psychological problem. When somebody is jealous of somebody else, they try to disparage them, like he's sometimes quite often puts down the military and says terrible things about the generals and all that, is because personally, psychologically, he's jealous of them because he's a coward.
And he's jealous he's jealous of them because he knows they are far more quality human being and person than he can ever hope to be. That's why he always goes after people like Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama, because he is inferior in every way, shape, and form to them.
But that's just what I said. It's a psychological defect, and anybody who feels that way has to go the opposite and try to put them down to make themselves feel better.
Absolutely. A normal person, wouldn't you think, would admire someone else for their qualities, their achievements, who and what they become? You're right. But if your elevator doesn't go all the way to the top floor, you're going to go the reverse and attack them for it.
That's true. Well, I'll let you if anybody else is coming on. And thanks a lot. And
I appreciate you calling in, Carl.
Stay a genius like you always are. Take care.
You too. Thanks, Carl. 221-7283 is our caller number here at the station, folks. That's 702-221-SAVE. Back to the phones, and we'll talk to someone I was hoping we would talk to today. Forrest, you're next. Thanks for calling.
Yeah, Doug. Yesterday, you gave quite a presentation on what you think Biden should do. And, at the end of this term, and I disagree with it quite a bit, but because he's not going to have to do that. And 4 years from now, I don't think anyone would vote if what you suggested happens. But I thought you made a great case for what you would like to. And someday in the future, when you have time, I think you can replay it because it was so interesting and you made so many good points. But I don't want to stay on too long because I think you have a lot of callers. But Trump is getting annihilated. He really is. In Pennsylvania, he's already lost Pennsylvania. He really has. And Michigan and Wisconsin are always in lockstep with Pennsylvania. They're never more than a point across difference. And we can't measure Michigan and Wisconsin because they don't vote by cabinet Republican. They just vote. And but anyway, great show. And like you say, another few days and we will be through with this guy. And I don't think he'll ever come back. I think he will just fade away, especially when he pulls down so many House seats. Probably going to lose at least 14 House seats because of him. And
Really?
He's a treacherous and awful person. And it's just amazing how much he has hurt the Republican Party. And hopefully they recover in the next few years. And
Forrest,
that's all I have.
Okay, I was going to say, I got a couple questions for you. So it's obvious you think we're going to take back the House. Do you think we're going to keep the Senate?
Senate is really going to be interesting. There's four Senate races, Montana and
Tester?
Texas, Florida, and Ohio. Ohio's worrisome, and Nebraska. Somebody told me 6 months ago that we had a chance to take Nebraska. I would think it would be laughable, but I think that's going to be within like a 1 point. So there's 5 Senate races up, and I'm just going to sit back and see how that turns out. I'm not going to make a prediction. I think it's going to be so close. I really hope that we do well in those 5 Senate races that are being contested, and we'll just see.
It would certainly be nice to send Ted Cancun Cruz packing, wouldn't it?
It would be amazing, but every time that I have gotten involved with a Texas race, I've been disappointed because, all right, I'm going to say it. There's just too many dumbasses in Texas, and I think it'll be very close. Hopefully Cruz loses, but we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, I hear you. So many times we have said, could it be? Could it happen this time? Referring to Texas, and they always find a way to disappoint us. But I do think Colin Allred is a damn fine candidate, and I think he fits that Texas mold. I mean, he's a big guy. He's a former football player. He's kind of a conservative Democrat. He could beat Cruz because, as I've said so many times, there are 2 kinds of people in this world: those who hate Ted Cruz and Ted Cruz.
Yeah, no, Colin Allred is a fabulous candidate. In fact, he's probably the only candidate that could have come this close. And I'm afraid that he's going to lose by like 1%, and it's going to be another heartbreak. But I don't disagree with you. He could pull it out if enough women vote on the abortion question in Texas.
Yep.
He could pull it out, and we'll just hope, okay?
Yep. Fingers crossed for us. I appreciate you calling in.
Take care. Bye-bye.
You too. Yeah, that's interesting. The Montana race, that's John Tester. Ohio, Forrest was referring to Sherrod Brown. Both of those men are just good, decent, honorable men. And it would be a travesty and a shame, not just because it would affect us in the Senate, but to lose those 2 men in Congress would hurt this country. And I hope it doesn't happen. Both have a tendency and a knack for pulling out and winning races that they shouldn't. So hopefully that'll happen again. Hey, folks, they're playing our song. That's it for today. I appreciate you listening. I appreciate you calling. We will do this all over again tomorrow, hopefully with you. Until then, take care.
Basham.
Did you know the cost to American